Hi everyone. So I thought I would talk about the books that I wasn't really a fan of. Now, this one I read toward the beginning of the month. I forgot to mention that in my mid-month wrap-up. So I'll just mention it now. So I ended up reading, this was Transfigured. It's an Elmwood College Tale by Ashley Mack. I ended up giving this one a 3. So we got the characters of Hallie and Tate. And I actually don't even remember what the heck this one was about. I didn't even go into like the detail of it. Oh yeah, that's right. This was like friends to lovers. It was like a friends to lovers romance where Hallie and Tate were friends for like years. And I'm not always a fan of like the friends to lovers type of thing, you know? Childhood friends to lovers. Like they've been friends for years. And it's like, lady, you never thought of getting with him. Come on, you know? You're giving this poor guy blue balls. I just, to me, it's just, I don't always like that, you know? So to me, I felt like it was a very predictable trope. Like I could kind of like already think in my head the storyline of how this is going to go. And so it was very predictable for me. So I said Tate kept a secret from her until the end. Now his secret was his grandfather, I think it was his grandfather. Yeah, his grandfather had basically told him, in order for you to get your inheritance, you have to put a ring on it. Because the grandfather knew that Tate had been in love with Hallie for years. So it was kind of like his way of like, hey, get married. Then you can get your inheritance. And he didn't want to do it that way. He didn't want to go like that way. He wanted Hallie to like, be with him for him, not for his money and all that stuff. So I didn't like that he kept this secret from her like most of the novella. And I'm like, why didn't you just tell her right away? Why the secrecy? I don't get it. So to me, the heroine, Hallie, was very insecure from her mom, telling her that she isn't good enough for Tate. And I'm just like, I hate the type of parents that they seem like they want to, which I don't understand. It's like, why would you want your child to not succeed? To not do better? I would like my children to do better than me, I don't understand why you would have parents who want to put their kid down and just say like, you're not good enough, you're not this or that. Like my mom sometimes did that with me, where she would say like, well, you're not smart enough, or you're not this or that. Maybe she meant well, but it came off as treating me like I was stupid. And so this is why I don't really have like a great relationship with my mother, because I remember certain things growing up that, and I remember. And so I think to myself, that was not the right way to teach your child, or to, it almost seemed like she was like trying to hinder my progress as maturing into an adult, because she was too afraid to be by herself, and she essentially did that with my sister. I don't know if my sister would be confident enough to like live on her own. My sister's like in her 30s. She's 31, still lives with my mom, still lives with my mom. I don't think that she'll ever go off on her own, because my mother essentially stifled her growth by saying like, oh, you're not smart enough, you're not this or that. And it's like, so when I see parents do that, it reminds me of my mother. And so it really pisses me off. And so it makes me not like the book, because I hate when parents are like that. Even if your child is mentally disabled, you give them that up. You give them that push to achieve more. You know, I've been around enough mentally challenged kids because I was in the mentally challenged kids class, you know, because my other school I went to before I transferred over to another school and graduated, I was going to this other school and they had me down as severe learning disability. Severe learning disability. So essentially saying I was mentally challenged. It wasn't until I went over to this other school and they tested me and they were like, she doesn't have a severe learning disability. She needs help with certain things, but she doesn't have a severe learning disability. And when I was in high school, I was getting honors. So it just shows, like, you know, sometimes it's the school. Sometimes it's the school. So with her, I felt bad for Hallie because her mother kind of like instilled that into her, like, you're not good enough. And I'm just like, you know, to that parent, because stop doing that. Don't do that to your kids. So it made me really not like it. And then, you know, I really kind of like wanted to say to Hallie, stop, you know, stop thinking that of yourself. Your parent may have thought that of you. Stop thinking of that of yourself. Stop. So it kind of frustrated me. And then I said, once Tate went from best friend 1 minute to trying to seduce her the next, and it gave me whiplash and it made it difficult to invest in the story, because he went from like supporting, caring best friend to like once he found out his grandfather left him that money, he was all like ready to like get in her pants. And I was like, dude, ease her into it, man. I'm like, it was a little bit too quickly, you know. Sometimes that happens with novellas. It's like they're way too quick and it's like, whoa, 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 you got to slow it down. You got to slow the pace down. So I said, these types of stories makes it difficult for me to like friends to lovers romances, especially when it's a novella. Friends to lovers needs to develop slowly, and I'm not always a patient person. This is why most friends to lovers romances don't work for me. I meant childhood friends to lovers. That's what I meant, so I need to have to edit that part. So childhood friends to lovers does not always work for me. It can frustrate me. So that was the thing about the characters, is that I was just like, no, it's going like way too quickly, and you like, even though it's a novella, you kind of have to slow the pace down and give enough of the, you know, build up. So this one here, I kind of like, the next book I'm going to talk about is Romancing the Duke. Now this is Castles Ever After book 1. So this one here, had been hyped up. Everybody was, you know, a lot of people have hyped up this book. I really was not a fan of either one of the characters. So we've got Isolde. Her name is Isolde, so she goes by Izzy. And her last name is Goodnight. This is the thing that was kind of a detriment to me in the story, especially listening to it. And the guy's name is Ransom. So I gave this like 3.5 stars. So I will say that I had high hopes for this book, but unfortunately that didn't live up. It didn't live up to the hype. I said, Isolde Goodnight recently lost her father, and unfortunately he didn't update his will, and all of her father's property and money went to Izzy's loathsome cousin. On the brink of destitution, she receives a letter from a solicitor to have her meet him at a castle. She arrives and is told that she is now the owner of this castle. Unfortunately for her, the Duke, who was suspected to be dead, isn't dead at all. The man who actually is entailed to that castle. So now she has to share this castle with a grumpy, scarred Duke. Now the Duke is essentially blind. Now in the daytime he can make out shapes and stuff, but at night he's like completely blind, can't see anything. So she figures out quickly that the Duke Ransom is blind. So she does her best to deal with his nasty attitude. As the downer of this story was the fact that Ransom wasn't nice until the last hour of the book. For most of the book, he was a complete dick. I said, I honestly didn't know what she saw in the man through most of the book. I said, once it got towards the end, then he started being nicer to her, and I could believe their love. I said, I thought they kissed way too quickly. I felt that the couple fell for each other fast, and it was more insta-lust than love. As overall, it was an okay read. I would have liked Ransom more if his attitude changed quicker. As also, he kept calling her Goodnight, And when I was listening to this, it confused me, and I was thinking that he was saying good night to her, but it ended up being him just calling her name. I said, so I wish that the author didn't name the character that. I would have wished if, you know, if you're going to have that with the name Goodnight, please don't have the hero keep calling her Goodnight, because I was like, Goodnight, okay, she's going to bed. And I'm like, oh no, he's calling her by her name. Ugh. So Isolde goes from not liking that she keeps getting recognized. So her father had wrote these books, and she was the heroine that was in the books, the little character. She was a little girl at the time. And so she constantly keeps getting recognized from people who know the character. And it very much had like, it reminded me a lot of, oh God, what am I thinking of? What am I thinking of? You know, they have those things that are like those festivals that people dress up, and they dress up like knights and stuff, like Renaissance festivals and stuff like that. Kind of remind me a bit in here, where you have these characters who are essentially play acting from the characters that were in the books. And so, you know, they're you know, they very much kind of like idolize her, and she gets kind of frustrated with it at times because she keeps getting reminded. And then there's other times where Ransom goes and starts saying stuff to them, and she's like, oh no, don't do that to them. And it's like, lady, you were even annoyed by it. So now you're telling Ransom not to be annoyed by it. So it was kind of irritating. And then, like I said, Ransom for most of the book was kind of a dick. And I was like, dude, I don't like the assholes. You know, if a guy is like an asshole toward everyone else but her, I could accept that. You know, if a guy is an alpha hole, okay, I accept that. But the guy was most of the book really nasty toward her, grumpy and all that stuff. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And it wasn't until toward the end that he started to change, and I was like, fucking finally. But by then I was just like, I don't care for this book. You know, so that's why I ended up giving it like a 3.5. But it really kind of like, I was like, oh man, this is the first book in the series. Am I going to like not like the rest of the series? But luckily, I did enjoy like at least, what was it, 2 or 3 books of the last of the series I enjoyed. But it was just this one here just didn't do it for me, unfortunately. It's funny because a lot of people tend to like this one too. And not me. And it's a shame because I thought the step back was really pretty. I love the cover, you know. I thought, you know. But I don't like it enough to where I want to keep it. So, unfortunately, this one's going to go in my donation bag. So, yeah, I just was not a fan of this one. You know, he got injured from, what was it, a duel or something like that? Something like that. It was like a duel. And he ended up becoming blind because of it. And then he had this attitude through most of the book. And it's like, I understand, you know, you get injured, you can't see anymore. I get it. But don't take it out on other people because of something that happened to you. You know, it's not fair. So that I didn't like. Was that most of the book, he was just a dick. And I was like, okay, how am I supposed to invest in you loving her? And then there were times she was kind of I felt like she was a little bit of a ding-dong, like a little bit of a damsel in distress. And I was like, girl, stop feeling sorry for this guy. He's an asshole. Just leave him in his cottage and just go away. Let him rot in his castle. Seriously, let that motherfucker rot in his castle. I don't care. So yeah, that was ones that I just was not a fan of this month. I am currently reading yeah, I've got 2 books that I'm reading. I got a physical copy I'm reading. I got a book on my Kindle that I'm currently reading. I also have a audiobook that I had started, but I now want to start another audiobook because I had an idea for a video in April that I could put out, and I need to finish off the book, the one book that I'm going to discuss. So I need to finish that one off. Once I finish that off, then I can kind of like make my idea for my video that I want to make. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Luckily, most of the books that I read this month I did enjoy, but there are a few duds, you know, that just crept up. And I also DNF'd like how many books. There was at least probably like 5, maybe like 5 or so that I had DNF'd because I was not feeling them. One of them, a character was a dick, just straight up dick, and I was like, oh, fuck this guy. I can't. So yeah, that was pretty much it for me. And then it gave me an idea for a video of next month. So yeah. So that is it for this video here. Have yourselves a good day. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. And I will see you all on the next video. All right. Bye.